Hello, everyone. I am Stacey Hall of the Hall Institute for Intuitive Wellness and the author of Chi to Be. And it is my joy to welcome you all here for our 3 ways for caregivers to take care of themselves so that they can provide even better care to the people they care about. Wow, that was a lot of caring right there. And I'm joined today by Crystal Sheffield. And Crystal, if you'd say hello and say a little bit about what had you decide to be here and share this webinar with me today?
Yes, thank you so much, Stacey. For those who have not met me, I'm Crystal Sheffield-Baird. I'm an emotional wellness coach of Phoenix Health Coaching. So I am a nurse. In fact, I worked primary care, public health, and I seek to work with other healthcare and teaching professionals with their self-care and help them make more of an impact and get clarity so they can feel happier and more fulfilled while they're giving better care to their patients, their clients, their students. Just because I myself had felt burnt out and I walked away from nursing for a time, and I don't want other people to have to feel like they need to do the same thing just to get some sanity back in their life.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm here with you too. I'm a licensed spiritual healing coach and certified natural therapies coach, and it's just always really important to me that we've got some background noise going on, so let me just double check before, because we're recording. We want to make sure that everybody can hear. There we go. I think we're good now. Okay, so the reason I'm here as a licensed spiritual healing coach and certified natural therapies coach is because it's amazing to me how many of my clients who are other healers or coaches or caregivers, I'm coaching in being able to take care of themselves. They're doing a lot of shoulding on themselves, which is what I did for years and years and years. You know, if somebody's coming for me to help, then I need to be there to help them. And it doesn't matter that I haven't had enough sleep, or it doesn't matter that I haven't eaten. And so I wound up getting myself into physical and emotional trouble through that thinking, and I'm doing my best to save other people from that. And one of the best ways is to remember that if you really care about helping people, then make sure you take good care of yourself so that the care you give to others is good quality care. All right, so during our time together, Crystal and I have identified that in an hour we can probably share with you 3 different ways that each of us does our best to take care of ourselves and be able to go into it deeply so that it's of great value, we hope, for each of you, but also for you to understand just how quickly it's possible to do these tips that we're going to offer all throughout your day. So I'm going to turn over to Crystal, who's going to share with you the first of our caregiving saving tips.
Yes, thank you. So the first ritual that Stacey and I both wanted to speak about was really focusing on the positive on a daily basis and really honing in on gratitude. And I know that a lot of us have probably heard about gratitude practices, but for me specifically, I tried to hone in on there's 2 types of gratitude. So for me, there's this internal gratitude that we need to pay respect to what we are doing for ourselves, what's going right for us, because mentally, neuroscience backs us up and says that we really tend to filter in on just the negative, right? How many of us, the news is all negative. That's what we're getting on the outside. So it's really easy for us to think about what we've done wrong, our failures, maybe mistakes we've made. Have we ever at night thought of 5 years ago, I said this thing to this person and now I still feel embarrassed 6 years later? You know, I think we can all relate to that to some degree because our brains want to hone in on that. So we really have to practice at being positive and looking at that positive. And when I talk about internally, we want to look at, because we are all inherently worthy. We all have this we all have this worth as human beings on this planet. And it's so easy for us to forget because we want to say that we're not smart enough, we're not successful enough, we're not qualified enough, but we all are enough. And that is really the most important thing that I hope you really take away, that you are enough. And you have to remember sometimes when, hey, this sounds really silly, but in my gratitude journal, I've written before when I got my contact lenses in on the first try. Why? Because it doesn't happen often enough, and I wanted to recognize that, that's a tiny little thing that went right for me today, because again, there's so many ways we can think about what didn't go right. If, hey, somebody reached out to me, or I encouraged somebody today and it felt really good, you really have to look at what you are doing in your life to make it a better place. And then on the external side, sometimes there's things that are around us, like, hey, or the people around us that we want to appreciate. Like, hey, my significant other surprised me with dinner coming home from work today. Or, hey, my friend who I hadn't seen, called me up today. These are external things that we should also be recognizing in other people and for ourselves. So we have this better sense of, life is great, right? That is one of the things that Stacey talks about. So I'll go ahead and I will give it back to you. Oh. Stacey, I think you're muted.
I am, yes. I wanted to make sure that we had good sound quality for you. But I'm going to say, oftentimes when people hear me say life is great, they roll their eyes because they think it's just ridiculous. And the point of fact is that for a lot of people, life is not great on the surface or from the direction they're looking. And so what I like to tell people is it's not crappy everywhere in your life. Somewhere something is great. Somewhere you've got a roof over your head, most likely. Okay, because the people I'm talking to will have roofs over their heads. They have a phone, they have a computer. I'll say to them, do you have food in the fridge? Do you at least have the next meal? You know where it's coming from? Yes. Okay, do you have a bed to sleep in tonight? Yes. Well, then you know what? Your life is pretty darn good, if not great, compared to what it could be. So this is what Crystal's talking about. I was looking for those small miracles and their small blessings. And a lot of people I know keep gratitude journals, and that's a way for them to count their blessings. And I'm thrilled. If you do that, I think it's great, because what I've noticed is what we focus on is what we get more of. Whatever we choose to put our perspective on, it expands. It's a quantum physics theory. I can't explain the quantum physics theory in scientific terms, but I can say it in terms of what my own life has been. For a very, very long time, I did not believe my life was great. For a very long time, many, many years. Now, it's been many years since that has not been true, but I can still remember very clearly that it was like slugging through mud when someone introduced me to the concept that I could stop looking at what I was looking at and start looking over here. And it seemed ludicrous to me, completely ludicrous, that when all was going wrong over here, that I would stop and, like Pollyanna, go, oh, but this is good. This is all right. But I was convinced that if I allowed myself to practice it, that I would start to notice other parts of my life got better pretty quick. And I was in so much pain that really it was just put to me as, how much more pain do you want to be living in? What if this could work? And I thought, I got nothing to lose right now. I might as well experience it, practice it. And so I did. At the end of every day, I would go through my day and I'd say, okay, did anything go right today? And it could be something like, I avoided having to talk to that person who always makes me angry. You know what I'm talking about, Crystal? Yeah. Or it could be out of the blue, somebody invited me to go to lunch and we had a lovely conversation. Or it could be, oh my goodness, the item, the pair of shoes that I thought I had lost, couldn't find, all of a sudden just magically appeared in front of me. They were just right there. Like, I don't know how I couldn't have seen them. Anything that I could say landed in the world of it wasn't horrible, I would count as it was a good thing. And every day as I did that, I noticed the list got bigger and the list got bigger and the list got bigger. And so if you're one of those people who's saying, I don't know what good this is going to do, and I want to speak to those of you who are truly caregiving and you are right in the midst of all the horrible stuff. If you're a nurse and all day long, you're just dealing with people who either don't want to take care of themselves, can't take care of themselves, family members that are upset, I understand. This might feel ludicrous to do for you, but truly, if you're going to save your sanity, this is important. If you're a family caregiver, my dad suffered a stroke and was alive for 5 years after that. Now, I wasn't with him full time, but during the times that I was with him, sometimes it was pretty challenging. I can remember one time in particular, he's passed now, but I still think he wouldn't like it if I gave you the details. But we were in a situation together that didn't seem like it was ever going to resolve itself easily. And I just prayed and I stood in what Crystal, you said about we're enough, we can make this work, and I deserve to take care of myself. And I stood there and I prayed, and lo and behold, out of the blue, a stranger actually came to our help. Had no idea where it came from, and helped out in the situation. So I just want to say, remember that you do have time to express gratitude for yourself and all that you are doing and all that you have, and then start to notice how things get gradually better from there. Now, the second tip that we wanted to share with you is conscious body movement. Conscious body movement. Now, that can take many, many forms. I am a certified NIA technique instructor, which is a blend of martial arts, dance arts, yoga. I'm training to be a medical Qigong practitioner. I love to walk. Not a big yoga aficionado, but I will tell you that if you don't think you have time for an exercise class, or you don't feel like your body can do an exercise class, just remember you can breathe. And so I'm going to give you a breathing exercise here, and then I'm going to turn over to Crystal, who's got a lot more ideas on conscious body movement for all of us. And bear with me one moment. I'm just adjusting something here. And that's not working that way. Just love, love, love. Glasses are going to come on. Give me 1 sec. Put my cursor over. There we go. Okay. So, conscious breathing. We want to bring oxygen into the body. So I'm going to invite you all to do is put your feet flat on the floor. And now, allow the crown of your head to be parallel with the sky. And oftentimes when I say this to people, what I find is that they'll go like this or they'll go like this. But what we want to do is just gently pull the neck back so the chin comes down, and then feel the crown of your head like pushing the ceiling up. So now you've got an elongated spine. Elongated spine. Bring your shoulders forward, like kind of hunch in. We're not going to stay like this, but we're going to do a hunch in. Hold back. Hold them back. And then let them rest somewhere in the middle. And let your shoulder blades relax down into the back pocket of your jeans. If you use essential oils, and I encourage you to get pure organic oils, that can help with the breathing experience too, unless you've got some respiratory issue and your doctor said not to use essential oils, which I'm not sure why, but I'm just saying, in general, I love essential oils because they support me physically, emotionally, mentally. And so with the breathing, I'm going to show you how to breathe, and then I'm going to show you how I breathe with essential oils to increase the benefits. So what we want to do is I'm going to ask you to put your hands down on your solar plexus, dominant hand over the non-dominant hand, and put on your belly. And allow yourself to breathe in through the nose so that the belly expands. And if you can feel it expanding to the front, the back, and the sides, even better. So inhaling and let that belly expand. And then exhale out, let everything contract down. So like you're taking the energy and compacting it into an energy ball. Beautiful. All right, this time as we breathe in relaxation, the sensation of relaxation. And on the exhale, as you constrict it down, and what we're doing is we're forming all that relaxation into an energy ball and keeping it in the solar plexus. This time, breathe in comfort. Allow the edges of your mouth to come up into a smile. And exhale out all discomfort so that all that's remaining in that energy ball is relaxation and comfort. Let's breathe in possibilities. Possibilities that things can be good. And on the exhale out, let go of all fear, concerns, and worries. So all that's left in the energy ball is relaxation, comfort, and possibilities. So you're getting the idea. Even if all the time you have is when you go to the restroom, you can stay in that stall by yourself, breathe in what you want to feel, and exhale out what you don't want to feel. And then with your dominant hand over your belly and your non-dominant hand holding an essential oil. I love lavender personally for comfort, but a lot of people don't. You might like lemon or citrus oils. They might make you feel happier. Let's breathe in. And let's see. Let's breathe in energy, stamina, and breathe out anything that's not that. So powerful energy. As it contracts down, leaving possibility, comfort, relaxation, and positive, powerful energy. Just notice if anything has changed in your body. That took about 3 to 4 minutes. And I'm going to turn it back over to Crystal, who's got another kind of movement for self-care for you.
Thank you, Stacey. I'm almost too relaxed that I don't know what I'm going to say. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, but definitely. I don't know if anyone else did that with me, but I feel completely different. And I meditated an hour before I went on here, so I'm definitely going to do that more often. Thank you. So I do love breathing. I think that that is a great way to get some sort of movement in your body. I think that we hear the words exercise or fitness, and we definitely have a certain connotation there. So I understand that that might be, a 10-mile run, a spin class, even any sort of yoga might seem like a huge stretch for you, and that is totally okay. There's, you have to start, or you have to acknowledge where you're at right now, and that is okay. But I do think that there are ways that we can be implementing more movement, and it not even feel like that kind of exercise. I know a lot of people who gardening, that is a great way. Even some sort of little bit of a walk. If you have pets, they have, especially dogs, they got to go for a walk, you know, just so, you know, like even things that we may be doing as part of our lives, that is still completely part of that moving your body. If you enjoy dance, I think a lot of us get embarrassed, but you don't have to do it in front of anybody. I think that, I mean, I love Saturday mornings, right? Saturday mornings in my PJs, maybe my underwear, I'll be honest, cranking some music and dancing, and there's nobody around. And that, you know, and that's still movement. That is still bringing some joy, you know, to your life. Because when we think of the mind-body connection, what we think of is my, you know, what I think in my thoughts are shaping my behavior. My thoughts are going to affect my health. And that is still, that's still very true, but it absolutely goes the other way. When you are moving your body, it is affecting your mind and your mental health in so many ways that research is backed. In these hormones, these endorphins, they are all being released. So, you know, while I'm definitely, you know, a big proponent of having that mindset in place, movement helps cement that and goes the other way, because what we're doing is going to affect how we're feeling. So I definitely, you know, and again, it doesn't have to be an hour-long, you know, session in any way. I personally, if I get 15 minutes in a day of walking, that's a success for me, because it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to do all or nothing. It can be any little bit to go get your mail or go do an errand. You know, you're still doing some sort of walking there. So I definitely feel really strongly about this in my own mental health, because as someone who struggles with depression, this is one of the first things that really helped lift me out of that, is get some sort of movement in my own body to help with my mental health. So, all right, I'm going to turn it, actually, no, I think that I'm going to start this one with unplugging at the end of the day, because I talked about my own mental health. I also have a sleeping disorder that I constantly battle with. So when I'm talking about unplugging at the end of the day, what I'm really meaning is leaving that work behind, leaving our obligations behind as we depart into that winding down relaxation stage. Because so many of us are trying to fall asleep and our to-do list is still in our heads. We are still sitting there, you know, I got to do X, Y, and Z tomorrow. This bill is due tomorrow. I got to make sure I run such and such by the doctors, you know, or, oh, hey, did I chart on such and such before I left? Maybe I didn't. You know, we all have those kind of thoughts, and we really have to consciously set it, like really draw a line in the sand. That's really the only way we're really going to be able to do that, is be like, hey, at 10 p.m., that needs, or, you know, whenever that time is for you, that needs to stop. You know, I try to put my device in another room. I try to do whatever I can to mentally tell myself, I need to shut it down. As a business owner, it is super hard because we're constantly surrounded by it. So I turn off the computer, I turn off everything, and unplugging doesn't necessarily even have to be that kind of devices. Before I got to the stage where I felt I could do that, because we're all in progress and we're all doing things, even before that, I would try to do one thing, like I would try to read for 10 minutes before I'd try to go to bed, read some sort of fiction, or I would listen to like waves or some sort of ambient music. Because to me, that was this unplugging ritual that I had with myself. Like, hey, when the music comes on or my essential oils flick on, you know, in my room, that means it's time to start relaxing. And that's something that you can mentally signal to yourself that, hey, it's time to get out of that work brain mode, and it's time to get into that unwinding relaxation mode. And it helps us be more present with other people. When we're out of that work brain mode, we're kind of still stuck in our heads. When we're getting out of that, we can now be more present with the other people in our lives. You know, when we're stopped thinking about our to-do list, we can actually sit and have dinner with the people that we love. So I think that not only is it helpful for yourself, but it's also going to, your other family or loved ones are going to definitely see a difference in that you're more present with them as well.
I 100% agree with you, Crystal, and fabulous ideas. And these are all things I've had to learn in my own life. And I'm lucky enough that my husband, and I talk about that, and he is actually my support system. My unplugging time is 9 p.m. And if it's a minute after that, we're sitting together because we've made it a commitment that that's going to be our time together for an hour before we go to sleep. Just he, me, and the pups. Watching TV or chatting. And so I have a built-in alarm system because he'll say, okay, it's our time. And I'll say, okay, you're right. I know this is here, but I tell my clients that 9 o'clock is my time. I'll be back to you tomorrow. But the other is I don't really have to tell anybody anything unless I made an appointment where I broke my own boundary, and that I don't do. I actually don't make appointments past 7:30 so that I have that cushion to either do the follow-up for it or get back to something else. And then I have my cushion, and then at 9 o'clock I'm done until the next day. And as my business grows, I'm bringing in virtual assistants to help me be able to keep that, because there was a time in my life where I really thought I had to do it all myself. That said, I'd like to talk to the people who really are caregiving in situations where it might be a matter of life or death, and they're not able to put their phone away because they're expecting a phone call in the middle of the night. Now, I'm going to say this. Those situations, and as a nurse, Crystal, I know you deal with those day in and or dealt with those day in and day out. But for the average person, that's a short-lived amount of time, usually, where somebody you love needs you to be available at all hours of the day and night. Is a short amount of time. But there are a lot of people who live their life as if it's all the time. So I want to speak to that first before I share other ideas. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. I used to be that person until someone did a number of, and I'm going to say at first I did not like what they said, but soon after I became extremely appreciative to them. They had asked me, this is again those years when I told you that life was not very good and I was in the process of changing. This was one of those people who helped me change. And I had said something about I couldn't do something for me because, and it had to do with doing for someone else. And she said to me, if you weren't there to do it, what would they do? I said, I don't know. I don't want them to have to find out. And she said, so basically you've decided you're responsible for the whole thing, for the whole world, basically, because that's what you always say, Stacey. Who made you in charge? You did not cause them to be in the situation you're in. Why are you now fully responsible for them getting their needs met? Who made you the most important person in the world? And I'd say that felt like a slap in the face. But I had to look at it. Who did? Who decided that I was going to be the lifesaver? And why did I decide I was going to go save other people's lives when I was not taking care of my own? So I just wanted to put that out there, that I know that there are people who say the same thing to me now. They're like, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? I don't know, but I can promise you this. They'll find a way to get it done. They always do. You will not be the cause of their death. Okay? There's emergency rooms. There's ambulances. And if it's not that desperate, there's other people, usually. And there's services that you can hook them up with to get their needs met. A lot of nonprofit services. So going back to then getting a good night's sleep, because we know that sleep is the most important self-care. Most important. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of articles, scientific articles written that if we're not getting enough sleep, We are no good to anyone, and we will wind up being on the list of people who need taken care of in not too distant future. So I love what Crystal said about not filling our head up with what we have to do the next day, but that requires some techniques. One requires taking a look before you go to bed at what your list is for the next day, and not doing it right when you're going to sleep. Building in time, maybe right around dinner time, where you look ahead to what the next day is going to need. You make out a list and you determine then whether or not you're going to have to cancel some things, reschedule some things, rather than trying to get it all done, okay? And yes, it's going to take a transformation for some people like it did for me, but planning ahead. The second is when you go to bed, make sure you've given yourself a cushion between doing and sleeping. Okay? A cushion between doing and sleeping. Like I said, I wind down with my husband and my pups. We get quiet. It's quiet time. Phones are turned off. We have an hour. That's the cushion between my brain working towards business or anything else I was doing and when I go to sleep. Okay? And then when you actually are in bed, and hopefully you have a pre-bed routine that you do, brushing your teeth, taking care of your face, maybe some exercises. When you get into bed and you close your eyes, that you're not so exhausted that you don't have time to appreciate yourself. We talked about gratitude for what's in our life, but then appreciating ourselves step by step for everything we accomplished during the day. And a lot of people don't do this because they were taught not to brag about themselves, Crystal. But don't brag to other people. But you can appreciate yourself for what you chose to accomplish. And if you think about it as it's like your higher spirit or God saying to you, I noticed you did this and this and this. You deserve a good rest now. As Crystal said, you are enough. You've done enough. Look at everything you accomplished. Now rest. And tomorrow you can do more. Going to sleep on that appreciation of you did a good job, even if no one else tells you you did. So I'm going to open up the phone lines. Crystal, actually, if you would open up your phone line first. I'm going to say anything you wanted to add to what I just shared there about ways of preparing ourselves to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, I definitely love that. I think that too many of us try to run it up until the last minute. So that buffer is absolutely crucial. For you, it's an hour. For me, it's about, I would say, a half an hour, but I think we all need to have something like that. The environment that you're sleeping in. I think that we all we have a lot of distractions in our bedroom. And I'm not immune to that either, but at some point we have to kind of look at what can we kind of minimize as far as what is going to keep us awake. Even if it's something like you're feeling too hot in your bedroom or you're blinking lights. That's what typically gets me having insomnia is my light situation in my bedroom. But I think that's something that we know it inherently, right? But we don't actually typically take actions to try to minimize that in the bedroom either when we're trying to sleep.
Absolutely. And then the time that we go to sleep, and people who work all night long know this, they have to adjust their body clocks. But for the average person who's getting up in the morning and going to bed at night, getting to bed, in bed, lights off by 11 p.m. is extremely important. And a lot of people aren't aware of the organ clock, meaning all throughout the day, our organs are doing their functions every 2 hours. And it's not all the organs all at the same time. It's from a particular time to a particular time they have their function. Gallbladder functions from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. It needs us to be asleep. Even if you've lost your gallbladder energetically, the body is still attempting to do that. The gallbladder is preparing the liver to do its function. And if you know anything about the liver, and Crystal knows a lot about the liver as a nurse, and I've had to learn a lot about the liver, it is, if next to the heart, the most important organ of the body, and it performs hundreds of activities to keep our body alive. If it is not asleep from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., we are not going to feel well. Interestingly enough, that's usually the window of time when most people wake up. Now, why are you waking up? Because your liver is not getting the nutrients it needs during the day. And that's a whole conversation that I have with my clients in the natural therapies world, is how do we make sure our liver is in balance so it can do its functions at night. And then from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., the lungs, the respiratory system, is doing its job of flushing out and bringing in and regenerating its cells. So to be able to breathe freely, to be able to feel more open, for the lungs to be able to breathe, because next to eating, breathing, very essential to our life. So we have to be asleep from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. So just putting that out there, if anybody has questions about the organ clock or how do you take care of your organs, please do let me know, or let Crystal know. And Crystal, anything more about that? You've mentioned insomnia. Do you know what the cause is for you of that?
I actually typically have what's called hypersomnia. So what happens with me typically is when I can sleep during the night, okay, but I also fall asleep during the day. In fact, I have almost lost my life twice in possible car accidents, which is why I stopped working the night shift as a nurse, because it was just untenable for me. So I think that a lot of that was due to some hormone imbalances. I think there's more to it, different what shall I say, like my mental health also has an effect on that as well. So I feel like it's many factors, but again, helping my mental health when I was doing more movement and I was allowing myself that time to shut off, that's really helped me. I don't think I've had any daytime sleep attacks in months, and I'm no longer on the medication my doctor gave me for that, because I just haven't had any sleep attacks. So self-care can be, when you don't do it, it manifests in so many different ways physically, right? For so many of us, we feel depleted, we can feel exhausted. We can also do the opposite. I've had clients who tell me that when they're not working, they're sleeping 12 hours a day. So I think that we kind of think of it manifesting in only one way, but it can go other ways as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's really important, because it's one of those things, I think, that you said, if you don't take care of yourself, then you're going to be one of those people that other people are going to now have to start looking after and caring for. It really becomes that way. I think that your body will tell you, it will start to shut itself down, and it will tell you, like, hey, you cannot keep doing this.
All right. Well, and those of you who know me, and those of you know me have heard the story before. Those of you who don't, I'm just going to do this very quick. I was one of those people. As I said, I used to think my life was horrible, and I think that I was caregiving others in order to take the attention off of what I thought was a bad life, and made me feel good to be able to be of service. But I ran myself into the ground, and I wound up, after a number of years of lots of signals. My body was giving me lots of signals. I would stop for a short amount of time, then I get right back into the habit. And finally my body said, we can't keep bouncing back anymore. And I was in bed for 2 years and 3 months. And you touched on hormones. Hormones is a key factor. We're not just talking sexual hormones. The body runs on hormones of all different sorts, and they have to be in balance, and they have to be supported for the organs to do what the organs do, and the organs have to do what the organs do if we're going to feel happy physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So we have a few moments, a few more minutes to chat. Those of you who are on with us live, if you want to unmute your phone lines, we'd love to hear from you. I want to read a comment. Barbara Cromwell wrote to us, and she said, when we were talking about expressing gratitude, she said, I would tell God the best thing that happened today was. That's what she would do, and say, this helped me go through everything and be reminded that it was a gift. And I just absolutely love that. Let's see. So I'm going to unmute in case people don't know how to do it. And okay, so everybody's unmuted now. Do you have a comment, a question, a thought? We'd love, if you're here, we would love to make this time the most valuable for you.
I like the unplugging an hour like you do, Stacey, with your pups and your husband. That way you're not spinning your wheels on social media.
So the cushion of time between doing some activity, usually for me it's computer work as well. I tell myself that being on the computer is relaxing, and parts of it are, and then parts of it are, I don't get anxious, but my mind starts going, the gears start going, and I can go like this because now I'm getting all sorts of ideas. So yeah, for me, even though I love chatting with my friends and being creative and creating events and webinars like this, having that buffer from 9 to 10 where I'm definitely not doing that gives my brain time to calm down. And when the brain is quiet, the heart gets quiet. When the heart gets quiet, the liver gets quiet, the kidneys get quiet, and everything starts going into the mode where it's okay to go to sleep. So Dawn, I'm so glad that that was of value to you. Thank you for sharing.
And I just actually wanted to add something, because Dawn, you mentioned specifically kind of unplugging from social media, and I am the absolute worst about that. I am going to be very honest. So what I ended up having to do, because to unplug myself from social media, I got an app on the App Store called App Detox, and you can set rules in that app to not let you get into social media. You can click on the Facebook or the Insta icon all you want, but it will cut you out of it either after a certain amount of time that you've been on it. So for me, it's like 30 minutes or an hour, or you can say, hey, from 8 p.m. on, don't let me get into this app, because it's our habit, right? We have a habit of being on our phone, clicking on our social media icon and start scrolling. So you kind of have to stop it before it starts. And that's how I do that, because again, if I don't make somebody else tell me not to, I will do it until like 11 o'clock at night, if you let me. So that's another tip that might be helpful for you, Dawn, if social media is an issue for you.
Well,
Okay,
somebody is in the middle of
for
caregiving. Dawn, what did you think about that idea?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I haven't used that before. I have Bill, who's very effective. But I'm going to say, and you know, I know there are friends. I know people who have accountability partners with friends, and they say at a certain time, let's text each other and say, okay, are you off of social media? Yeah, okay, I'm getting off now. And so you can use it to do mechanically. You could probably do Siri, I suppose, right? Or Alexa could probably, you could say, send me a reminder at that time too. I kind of like the more personal touch where somebody's kindly saying that to me, but then, you know, that's just me, because I think, honestly, I think if an app tried to kick me off, I'd just turn the
True.
But I'm glad that it works for you, Crystal. I'm just telling the truth about myself. All right, anyone else? Comments, questions, thoughts?
I have a question.
Yes.
What do you do for people that has a different body rhythm, that are like night owls? I'm a true night owl. I can easily go to bed 3 to 4 o'clock and get up like maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. But it's not being productive as trying to start up a business. I know that I'm more productive in the morning. I get so much done. I've struggled to try to work my schedule around so I can be up by 8 o'clock and then go to bed by 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11 o'clock. It would be okay for a while, and then something just so minor could slip that suddenly I went to bed at between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm all messed up again. What do you suggest?
Crystal, why don't, because you had that experience, how did you break yourself of that habit?
So I feel like typically when we are trying to get our schedule, our sleep schedule back in order, we kind of have this tendency to do this all or nothing. And that's what tends to pull us off track. Like you said, one thing can go wrong and then we're back to square one. What I would actually suggest is be a little bit maybe more forgiving of yourself and gradually setting that back a little bit if you have that capability. I know that with you said you haven't started a business, so you have a little bit more freedom as far as what your schedule would be. But that's typically what always stops me from, I would say, things being sustainable, is me going from, you said 2 in the morning to 10 at night. That's like 4 hours. Our body can't adjust like that. So I would say, step it back, and in the morning, like you said, you're definitely more productive. So I think that when we say that we're a night owl, it's more that we think that's when we go to bed because we are so used to doing it. So if you're saying you're more productive, because some people do have different what they call chronotypes, meaning that their body clock is different. I think that if you're more productive in the morning, that I feel like focus on that as far as when you're, thinking of the positives. When you are getting up in the morning, hey, I got this done in the morning. When we make it a positive feedback loop, and then we're also going slowly and stepping it back. So if those two things happen, hopefully it'll be a little bit easier for you to transition into that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
And Barbara, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm just going to put this out there because there's other people just like you. Oftentimes, if somebody really is not able to go to sleep, or they feel like they get their second more productive wind in the middle of the night, that is an indication of hormonal imbalance. So Crystal talked about chronotypes, yes, but more often than not, it's a hormonal imbalance, and something is affecting the rhythm, especially if you're not having to stay up. The people who work through the night, they have to, and then they learn to adjust. And there's lots of studies showing that people who work night shifts are less well than people who work during the day. So I'm just going to say, be sure that, yeah, Crystal, that was you. Yeah, I mean, and I did too. When I used to think life was horrible, it was like I looked forward to 11 o'clock at night because it was when everyone else was asleep. It was like my world started then. It was quiet. Nobody was asking anything of me. Nothing was demanding. And I felt productive. Wrote my first book mostly through the middle of the night. And I can promise you that I was sure that I was receiving information. People still, it's still a bestseller, and somewhere I got something good out of it. But the toll it took on my physical health wasn't worth it. And that's what my second book is about, is it contains the good stuff from the first one, but all the things I learned after that. So I just want to re-emphasize, especially when we are over the age of 30. I used to say over the age of 40, but with the way our environment and our foods are now, really, I could probably say any woman over the age of 25. It's really important to regularly get a saliva test, not a blood test, a saliva test for your hormones from somebody who really understands how to read the test, because hormones have to be done in balancing in pairs. You don't just look at one. They have to be balanced in the pairs that they go with. Hormones are in relationships with each other. So it's a complicated process, and a blood test just does not get to the heart of it, Barbara. So I don't know if you,
Great.
if
Yes,
that's some
thank
value
you.
to you. Okay, good. Wonderful. All right, any other questions, comments, thoughts? If you don't want to turn on your microphone, you can chat about it in the chat box. I think we got a chat there. Let me see who's essential oils for helping find slumber. You want to know about that? Okay. So since Crystal and I both use essential oils, Crystal, what have you found to be effective?
So, what I do with essential oils typically, especially in sleeping, I like spraying my pillow with like a spray, because it definitely gets, I can breathe it in a little bit more. I typically go with a blend. Right now, like my kind of blend that I'm using right now is like a lavender and like a sage blend. But I find that some people like it diffusing in the room in an ambient way. I do that while I'm working, so I try not to do this, have the same blend for work and sleeping, because that's not going, I'm not mentally going to be able to dissociate that. So yeah, I think that it's individual. I found what works for me in that way, but I feel like Stacey is definitely more in tune with that than I would be. So I'd be curious to hear what you have to say.
I'm happy. I don't know how much I'm in tune, although I love essential oils, and I have studied this. I am a certified aromatherapy coach. So since you talked about it from a personal standpoint, first I'll talk about personal, and then I will talk about it more from the scientific realm. So personally, I love what you said about not using the same oils for work as I do for bed. And that's why there's so many different plant families and tree families. Each family has its own purpose to support our wellness. So that's a little bit of the scientist part of it. That it's really interesting that trees all kind of look the same, and their oils all have similar characteristics. And then flowers all kind of look, can tell the difference between a flower and a tree, right? Flowering bush versus a tree. And then florals have very similar properties. And then citrus oils, lemon, orange, tangerine, grapefruit, lime, they all look kind of the same. And the oil that comes from the rinds of those citrus fruits all generally do very much the same things for the body. So if you know what the different plant families do, then it's pretty easy to choose oils from an analytical standpoint. In general, though, when I'm going to sleep, whatever I'm going to use, I'm going to say this, I put it on the soles of my feet first, because all the nerves of my body end to the feet, yours too, everyone's. And so they go in through the pores, through the cells, and it fills my body up, which is why it's so important that the oils be absolutely pure organic and you know where they come from. Because if you know anything about how fast something penetrates the skin, 27 seconds. Faster than, it will affect you faster through your skin than it will drinking it down your gut, your esophagus and into your gut. So I'm really, really careful about where my oils come from for that purpose. So nothing else in with them. Diffusing, what Crystal said, really important, is being able, not burning oils. I think in this day and age, most people know that if you burn something, you're changing the molecular structure, and now it's not going to give you the benefits. But if you have a cold air steam diffuser, the whole molecule will come out into the air and perfume it. And, well, that was not the best word, because perfumes are usually fragrance, not oil. And that's, fragrance is toxic. But the aroma will fill the room and be gentle. And if you have a diffuser that has timers on it, so you don't have to be concerned about waking up to turn it off or unplug it, all the better. And then finding a diffuser that's got a quiet motor, because as Crystal said earlier, we don't want distraction in the room. I generally, personally, I don't have a problem with people diffusing through the night, but I don't, because I'm really sensitive to noise. So that's why I put the oils on my feet and then on my wrist points. I apply it, rub it in, and behind my ears and under my nose, so that the aroma goes up and helps my brain remember to be chill. So lavender, of course. I love a blend of citrus oils. If I'm feeling concerned in any way, citrus oils will help me to believe that I can have hope in the situation. And if I feel hopeful and optimistic, it's easier for me to go to sleep. For my liver, though, every night I use a blend of oils that support liver function and gallbladder function. That is celery seed, ledum, helichrysum. These are all fabulous for supporting liver function. And when I do that, if I forget, sometimes I will wake up in the middle during that 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. time and have to go to the bathroom. I'll always go right back to sleep. But if I've given my liver and I rub it right over, the liver's right on the right side under the ribs, under the breast. And if I just rub it there, I'm good to go. And then other times, if I want to, as I'm falling asleep, I want to go into a meditation before I fall asleep, frankincense is my go-to for that. Really fabulous and grounding. So Crystal, I noticed you nodding as I was going through. Was that helpful for you? And do you agree?
Yes, helpful for me personally. In fact, I'm going to probably listen to this a little bit and jot down some notes, because I like citrus oils as well, but I typically, usually during the day for me, I'm doing citrus, especially in the morning, but I definitely think it would be, it's one of those more versatile, because it can be calming or energizing, a lot of the citrus ones as well. So it's definitely something that I'm probably going to look into as well for myself,
Yeah, people don't think about citrus for the nighttime because they think it's going to be too energizing. No, oils like nutmeg are very energizing. Ginger, clove. I generally stay away from those when I want to go to sleep, because they give me the energy to be more clear-headed and get going. So no, right. But citrus oils, lemon is really supportive. Orange, because they make us feel happier. And when we feel happier, we don't feel stressed, so we're less constricted. When we're less constricted, the body can relax and just fall into sleep. And so that's right. And then we got another comment, then I wanted to start to wrap it up. So I have a puppy that needs to go out. Okay, you're welcome. I'm glad you're taking the puppy out. Candace, was that of value to you? Essential oils to help find slumber. Right? If not, feel free to send me a private message after this webinar. Those of you who can find me on Facebook, I'm Stacey Hall 1, Stacey Hall 1, Stacey Hall 1. Whoop, we got an internet. All right, there, I'm back. Not quite sure. I'm plugged into the Wi-Fi. Not quite sure what's going on here. So anyways, as we start to wrap up, Crystal and I have 2 free gifts for you for watching this webinar. I put the link to where to request to receive it from us in the chat. But Crystal, would you say more about what is the free gift that you're offering to people to help them continue finding their sanity as they continue to be caregivers?
Sure. So I feel that personally, and with other clients, I've seen that we kind of need a little bit more clarity on where we need to go as far as what takes priority in our own self-care. So my toolkit is a bit of a resource bundle that I've called the Wellbeing Clarity Toolkit. It has to do with improving your sleep, and it has to do with what your goals are and how you can get that social accountability piece that's going to keep you from falling off the wagon with some of these rituals. So that's kind of what that entails. So it's a little bit of a multi-purpose toolkit that I hope will get you started and going on your own wellness and your own self-care journey.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to take advantage of that myself. Can always learn more. And I have written for the last few years many tips that I like to say help take the shoulds off our shoulders so that we can live a stress-free life. And I know that caregivers, for the most part, live in the world of shoulds. I hear it all the time, that they should do this and I should do that and I should be doing more. And I'm going to say cancel that, take that out of your mind. And if you start practicing any one of the tips that I'm going to send you on how to live a more stress-free life by taking those shoulds off your shoulders, I look forward to hearing from you, like I've heard from so many others, that it worked, that you are calmer, that you have more energy, that you have time for yourself again, that the other person you were taking care of is doing just fine, and you don't have the guilt anymore when you take time for yourself. So we're giving you both of those, and now you just got to create the time. Choose to create the time to read through them and utilize what the gifts we're giving you. So Crystal, I'm just going to see if we have any other final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so Candace says, thank you for the webinar. Barbara says, thank you. Fabulous. It was wonderful to have you all with us. And those of you who are watching the recording, we will be sending you, if you RSVP'd for this webinar, we will be sending you the link to be able to access the free gifts too. Crystal, final thoughts, over to you.
No, I'm really thankful to be able to collaborate on you with this. I got personal benefit out of this, and I feel that, you know, if you're able to listen to this and get to the end, that you are determined to make your own care a priority. And I think that just watching this is a testament to investing in yourself is going to be one of the best investments that you can really make in your life, because it's going to help you and it's going to help everyone around you. So
I agree. So here's to living a stress-free life. This is my power juice, no alcohol. There we go. All right, bye everyone. You take care and have a stress-free life. Bye-bye.